I'm going to read the rest of chapter 22 to you, okay? I could see Ahmed staring at Mrs. Saunders as if she wasn't making any sense to him either. But Mrs. Saunders was shaking her head. I'm afraid that's not quite true. I'm sure that the Queen would like to try and help Ahmed in some way, but I doubt very much that she will be allowed to send extra people to find his family, especially when no one knows where they are. On hearing Mrs. Saunders' words, I felt something hard hit me in the middle of the chest. I wanted to tell her that she was wrong, that the Queen could help anyone if she really wanted to, but even though my mouth opened, I couldn't say any words. I know that this may come as a huge disappointment, said Mrs. Saunders, peering over her glasses at us and looking at me the longest, but Ahmed has lots of people trying to help him find his parents, though even if they do find him, it may take a long time, months, maybe even years, before they can join him here. That's why he stays with Mrs. York for now, she added, nodding at Ahmed's foster mum. We all stayed silent, and even though I didn't want them to, I could feel my eyes beginning to get wet and my nose tickling and something heavy sinking in the pit of my stomach. Everything we had done was for nothing, and the greatest idea in the world was really the stupidest idea in the world. In fact, it was probably the stupidest idea in the whole universe, and I knew that everyone was thinking it too. Now, said Mrs. Saunders kindly, I want to show you something. She took a newspaper from out of her bag and laid it on the desk in front of us. I looked over at Michael and Tom and Josie, but I think they must have all forgotten about the promise we made, because they immediately started to read the paper. So I wiped my eyes and looked at it too. I knew that it had to be okay to break a promise to your mum if the head teacher was telling you to. A huge headline stared up at us from the front page, and alongside it was a large, blurry image of me running up to one of the Queen's guards with Tom behind me. I could tell it was me because of my bright blue rucksack, but I couldn't see my face properly at all. The paper looked like this. The story said that the newspaper was going to run an international appeal to find Ahmed's parents, which made Josie grin and whisper, "See?" This is what it said. Yesterday afternoon saw a centuries-old tradition in disarray when the changing of the guard ceremony was disrupted by two 9-year-old children. Breaking through the barriers, they attempted to give one of Her Majesty's palace guards a written note asking the Queen to help them find the family of a refugee boy known only as Ahmed. The decisive action of these children have served to remind us all of the shameful hesitancy and fear which often govern our actions and those of our government. So, who is Ahmed and where is his family? The paper is determined to help and urges our readers, our leaders and our politicians to do what they can to not only find the young boy's missing family, but to reunite them here on UK soil. Perhaps it is the actions of these children which will inspire political bodies across the world to finally heed the plight of refugee children everywhere. A fitting testament indeed to a young boy whose story we have yet to learn, made infamous by a daring act of true friendship. We appeal to you all to not let the brave actions of these children be in vain. Help us find Ahmed's family. After she had finished, Mrs. Khan put the paper down and looked at us with her eyebrows raised. So, you see, she said, clasping her hands together and placing them under her chin, all is not lost. Even if the Queen can't do as much as she'd like to, there is a whole world of people who are whispering Ahmed's name and trying to think of how to help instead. Later that morning, as I sat in class, I thought about what Mrs. Saunders had said. I thought about the worldwide whispers being whispered right at that very moment, and wondered how long it would take for all of them to reach the border gate people and Ahmed's mum and dad too. I had never thought about how loud a whisper can be if there are lots and lots of them. So all that day I whispered, "Help Ahmed out too," loud too, whenever I could. So did Tom and Michael and Josie, and whenever we did it together, our whispers made a sound like the ocean. Wow, they have achieved so much. What friendship. I hope that I have friends like that throughout my life. Right, so that's the end of that chapter. I'm going to read the other chapter to you today because it's quite short, okay? But I'm going to do it in a separate video clip. So enjoy.